Hello from the people at Kurth Electronic, and welcome to this short video that's going to illustrate how to do some of the most typical structured wiring tasks with some very basic electronic tools. In this case, we'll be using the demo board that we've constructed that illustrates how structured wiring systems go together, much more compact than normal, of course. In the demo board, we have the typical elements of the system, including a switch or the service source, the cables that connect it to a switch patch panel. The switch appears on this upper part of the patch panel. The horizontal wiring to the work area outlets appears on the other side of the switch. In this case, what would happen is we connect the service from the switch through the patch panel to work area outlets according to how we want the service distributed. In order to do this, we're going to use some basic tools that I think that work very well in this situation. One of my favorites, the KE701, is a small tester that does everything from tone tracing to audible short circuit display to detecting data services from Ethernet and blinking the switch. Naturally, to go with this, we'll be using a tone tracing probe, the durable KE310 from Kurth Electronic. These two come in a kit known as the KE701. We'll be using those along with a new product from Kurth Electronic, the KE701 Ethernet LAN inspector. It's a new product from us, but it illustrates how you can use even the most basic equipment to solve this problem. There are some great systems out there and standards for marking data systems, so those things should be used in all cases, but in the first place you have to figure out where the physical wiring is with certainty before you start marking the cables. A lot of systems, unmarked systems are the case when you're first installing them, and in some older systems where someone hasn't carefully labeled things, you have to do the detective work and figure out where the cables go. In this situation, what we have is a live switch connected to a patch panel. What I have to do is identify the ports here that go back to the switch. In order to do that, I'm going to use my KE701, turn it on. I'm going to, in the data mode, which is the data detection mode, I'm going to just start looking through the jacks to figure out which ports have data service on them. You can hear by that indication that there is Ethernet found there. It's blinking the hub. While I do that, I can just step up through the jacks looking to see if I have data service. I found some in position 6. I also find that the switch is connected to position 1. I have a live switch here, and it's we can use electronic communication to help determine which port is connected to what. If the switch was dead, you could also put this device into the tone mode and follow the tone with the tracing probe. The tones are audible even for live circuits that are connected to live switches. You can find the tone in individual cables with the tone tracer. In this case, it's handy to use the electronic device because not only do I know that there's data in port 1, but I can determine that port 1 is connected to a specific port on the switch. In this case, it's the power over Ethernet set, port number 2. So I now know that jack 1, or port 1, is connected to the power over Ethernet, and I can mark it so on the terminal. Now my task is to determine which of the work area outlets appears where on the patch panel in the back room. Since this horizontal link is basically a piece of unconnected copper at the moment, we're going to use tone tracing to do it, one of the most common methods of determining where wiring goes. So I have connected my KE701 to the work area outlet, turned it on in the tracing mode. I can see the light indicating that tracing tone is being transmitted. It's fairly powerful, so I'm going to use the low sensitivity mode in the probe. You can see also that the probe has a headlight on it, which is very useful. In this case, you can see very well, but if you're in a back room very often, it's handy to have a light to help you point where you're going. In the low power mode, I'm just going to go through and start poking around in the outlets here to determine where the tone appears. It's pretty easy to determine among these outlets that jack 9 is where this outlet goes. In this case, I'd make some mark on near the jack to indicate that this is patch panel position 9. In order to connect this jack now to the service that I identified here before, port PoE port 2 goes to position 1, I can connect patch panel 9 to 1, and now I have power over Ethernet service available at this orange receptacle. Now that I put a patch cable in place on the panel connecting my identified switch port to the horizontal cable that I am interested in, this orange receptacle here, I can take the KE701, go to the data mode, and verify that Ethernet service is now there. You can hear by the indication that it has found Ethernet service, and in fact it's blinking the hub switch in the back. Now I know that I've connected myself to a power over Ethernet port on my little switch, so I want to make sure that the power is actually arriving, not just the Ethernet service. So I'm going to use this nifty little device here from Kurth Electronic called the POECheck. This simulates a power consuming LAN device and indicates the kind of power that it finds. In this case, you can see, it's showing me that I have type A LAN power over Ethernet power available. That's telling me I'm connected to a switch that provides its own power. If there had been an intermediate powering system that's providing power over Ethernet, I would have seen an indication on type B. If there were no power over Ethernet available, or there was a wiring fault, we would have seen no light. So I've now identified that switch port 2, which is power over Ethernet, is connected to patch panel position 1. The orange receptacle in this office is connected by horizontal cable to the position 9. By patching 1 to 9, I have connected power over Ethernet service to this jack, and I've verified that that's there and it's the right type.